Hello, Has by Jim welcomes you and thanks you for watching this video. I make custom home office tools. This here that I'm showing you is a edi-table. You can print the notes from an updatable language learning table here. It could be all sorts of other inventory or interesting apps. I'm going to make one for fitness trainer, art catalogue. I'll show these as well hopefully soon. It's a interface that shows in the browser, but it does not need to be online. You could practice and test it online using my my website, but on the website you can't put punctuation in like I can here, but where I've removed blocks like that because I don't know what you can, a single dot means every single character up, so it's very easy to allow the people to put all sorts of code into your inputs, but it's for home office or personal use, so it's not really needing to be online. Your browser can be completely offline when you work with it, but it's got all the code to share very easily. If I start here and I've got a word that I want to edit, if I just click it, it instantly turns the interface to prompts and tells you to go up above there to change that. Instead of ask, I'll put request in English perhaps though. Request, and now we've got request. That's out of sync for alphabetical, but we'll see how to sort that out later. Now it always assumes that you want to enter new data, and if we go to the bottom here, we'll see there's a lot of data in here. There's some 260 rows, and so we could put a new one in, which we'll call by, which actually genuinely isn't in because I think it's too simple a verb to put in a memory thing. And then that's what it would look like in the kanji. And then the prompts change, so now it's asking me for the third column, and I'm going to put that into English first. And then back to Japanese. And now it's on to the next one there, and I can edit down here as well. Just put work there now. You can just keep on editing, and this is where most of your time would be spent. I would assume if you've got something that you want to save like this, and it's quite helpful for me. At the end, there's no save button. Now that seems to be what you would need to sum everything up. Instead, you have to save it yourself. Like that, copy it into a file. But that little bit of concentration after all the time you've spent editing, I don't think is a big detractor. Here is what the file system looks like at the moment. Just a few files, but in fact it could look very much more simple. It could just be 2 files because the only image was my logo seen there, and so looking at the fact that I was saying we needed to sort that, that's when I decided not to have a save button. I decided to stick to what works. This is this can do all of the things you want, and you're adding more and more files to be able to work around a hub that's effective, and hopefully you find this hub's quite effective. So I named the second file sort for that reason. Obviously, this being language, you might want Japanese first, and then the files I would add in an extra couple of files here. One so that I'm always sorting it in to a Japanese one, and it wouldn't matter necessarily, but it's helpful. And also that would need to be reversing, and I chose to have a separate file as well for this, although it's very simple piece of code, and could just be, as I'm going to show you now, a customization. For instance, here I've chosen to make this table have an extra, to use the extra row for a book I loved reading, which had a lot of good verb sentences in it, example sentences, and I really am not learning very fast, and so that's quite important. And as I filled it in, I've got a lot of these verbs now. I can get a proper example. I've got mistakes in my table, most certainly, but these should be correct because they're from a good textbook. This is the textbook. Well, I'll show you the textbook another time. Anyway, it could be a copyright thing, who knows, but I decided that anybody reading it, including me, would not need to know, wouldn't need the SP, and so then I made another a customization to be able to remove that, and it's quite a simple customization, and I think that's a lot more easy to look at. And this is what the customization would have looked like. Now, similarly, I might want to completely remove some rows. Now that logically would be a button, but if I click here and but it's a very big decision to remove a row. So I figure perhaps I'll have that as a customization as well. It's not a lot of code. You can go in and you can make it work with just one line, or quite simply you iterate through this, as it's called, and just put in and take a note of all the numbers you want to remove, and then they're gone. You could do it in 2 stages if you're a bit worried about once the numbers are gone they all reset, and you could save the resetting until you copy the code into the new date. Also, there's customization for reverse. As I said, I've made it a separate file, but what you have to make sure is that you have every row, every column that you are going to swap is mentioned, and like so you'd put them in, and then you could get them to swap places. Not difficult. So you can see these customizations don't take whole big new files. There's a lot of code actually to make this have the prompts and to create everything that you need. And not only does it have the table, but you can, this button here I think is helpful to produce an array, because the array and the table both build each other behind the scenes, making the code, and the neatness of that helps you when if there's a little bit of troubleshooting to do, and you can quite quickly get into learning the code that made this. So I hope to follow up with some other examples to the fact that this is for making verb tables. But the edi-table, I'll gladly go to my website and contact me. I'd certainly like to be showing you how this could work for your home office. That's I found it important to make, but I found it not as available, in my opinion, on Excel and all these apps as I wanted. And this is, as I say, it's very much a tool for you to use. You don't have that much code, and those customizations, they can just keep on going. You can see that if you've got it looks complicated, but those things were quite short, and you just switch them on and then switch them off when they've been used. Right, thank you.